Okay guys, so let's do a story time. I used to work for a chain wax salon that will not be named. Now, pretty much every time you visit a wax place, we're gonna ask you, would you like to use the restroom before we get started? So anyway, I asked this client and she was like, no girl, I'm good, let's go. So I get through the majority of the wax, and as I get ready to do the butt strip, I say, okay, so go ahead and put your knees to your chest. Shit was on her butt. I didn't really know what to say, so I just told her that we were all done and she can go ahead and get dressed. I was actually traumatized, horrified, all of the above. Ah, the joys. I don't miss it whatsoever.
So I've been a makeup artist for 10 years now, and I moved to LA to pursue my makeup dreams in 2016. And boy, do I have some stories. But there's one that I always remember that always just gags people because it's just like outrageous. So I figure I'm cleaning brushes and just kind of reminiscing on my time in LA. Why not tell you guys? So I was working at MAC at the time. I was also freelancing. I was building my Instagram and it was getting some traction. So then one day I checked my DM requests and it was from someone with like 998,000 followers. I was like, okay, cute. This could be like a good opportunity. So she books me and it's for a TMZ interview. I don't remember what I charged. I think I said $85 at the time. I was really cheap. I didn't even charge travel because I was just like, no, I don't want to scare them off. So then I get to TMZ before her. And then my client calls me and she's like, oh, where are you at? I don't know where I'm going. I was like, I'm not from LA. I don't know. I just put it in the GPS. And she just puts me on the phone with her Uber driver. And I'm like telling him where to go. I'm like, okay. So I'm like on the phone with her Uber driver, giving directions. She comes in finally. She has like a suitcase with a wig on it. And then she has another suitcase and like, you know, nice like designer bag. I think it was like a YSL bag. And she just like rolls the suitcases to me. And what do? I take them. I take them and I just follow her with her suitcases. Like the fucking help. Anyways, we go into the room and she's like, we have 15 minutes to do a full face. And she's like wanting wing liner and lashes. Like that can take 10 minutes by itself. And then she's like, oh, and we can take a picture after, sweetie. And I'm like, okay, I don't really know who you are. And I actually never asked for a photo, but I mean, I guess, thank you. I don't know. Anyways, so I do her makeup in 15 fucking minutes. It looks a mess to me, but whatever. And I had like these Aldo earrings on. They were like $8, these like hoops. And she's like, your earrings, give them to me. And I'm like, my earrings? And she's like, yeah, I'll give them back after the interview. And I'm like, okay. So she wears my earrings in the interview. Literally, this is an interview that was posted on YouTube. I can probably still find it. And she's like, you can take me to the airport, right? It's like 10 minutes away. Yeah, no problem. I can take you. So then we get in my car. She's like, oh my God, I cannot believe I'm stuffing these wigs in this $7,800 YSL bag. Whatever bag it was. I think it was YSL. And so I put her stuff in the car. I load it up like her fucking assistant. I'm loading her suitcases in the car and everything. She just gets in the front seat. And then she's like, oh, can you stop at the gas station for something real quick? I was like, oh, sure. And so I stopped at the gas station, me thinking maybe she's gonna throw me some gas too. Like, but she comes out with a deodorant, uses it, and puts it like in the side of my door. Like, you can have this, hun. I'm like, I'm not sure who you think you are. I wouldn't even want Beyonce's deodorant. Like, we get to the airport and I see her starting to take money out of her wallet. And so I'm like, okay, like, I'll just like grab your bags, I guess. I don't know what's wrong with me. So I start getting her bags out of the car, out of the trunk, and unload them for her. And she just doesn't even hand me the money. She stuffs it just like in my middle console area. She leaves, we say bye, whatever, thank you. And I count it and it's only $85. You mean to tell me I spent 2.5 hours at TMZ? I drove you to the airport. I let you wear my earrings and you can't even tip me $5. That was some of the brokest bitch behavior I've ever seen. On top of the fact that she's price dropping about her $7,800 bag, like tacky, just tacky. And then on top of it all, she texts me when she's like inside already, like, oh my God, I have your earrings. I forgot to give them to you. Doesn't offer to reimburse me for them. Doesn't offer to ship them. Nothing. And that was the last time I heard from her.
Yeah, story time. So basically, when I start waxes, I'm not watching my clients when they're undressing. So that's when I'm like putting gloves on, prepping the wipes and all this stuff. And not like y'all are gonna ask why didn't she wipe? Where I was working at the time, you weren't allowed to offer wipes, and they didn't even have any wipes in the facility for them to use. But essentially, I turned around, she's in butterfly position, and when I tell you, it was literally shit smeared across her entire front side. Like, I was just like, oh my gosh. But I had a mask on, thank God this was around COVID, so I was able to hide my facial expressions. And then I was just like, you know what, I have to play it safe, because I had only been working there for a couple weeks, and I was not about to jeopardize my job off of one client. So I did what I had to do, which what I did was, before y'all asked me, is I applied the wax and turned my head to the side when it was time to pull the strip. Yeah. But yeah, it gets worse. So when it comes time to do the between the cheeks part, at this point in time, it was the knees to chest thing. So she did the knees to chest, and when I tell you, it was even more like smeared on the back end. And it wasn't like it was just like a little bit. It was like almost as if she didn't wipe at all. It was almost like she literally pooped her pants. Like, it was crazy. And then I realized, because she ended up coming back like a couple weeks later, and it was the same situation, except for this time it wasn't on the front, it was all just in the back. And then I was just like, please don't put her back on my books. But when I tell you, she literally was wiping from back to front and then not even finishing the job. And I asked my coworker after the fact, like, is this a normal thing that I should expect? Like, so I know how to respond to it. She was like, yeah, this is regular. So from that day, I just learned how to stomach it. And yeah, waxing isn't for everybody. And I think the real icing on the cake is the fact that she worked in healthcare. She was coming to her appointments in scrubs. So I'm just like, how do we have people in healthcare that are doing basic hygiene wrong? How are you wiping from back to front as a woman in healthcare? Like, it was, granted, she was a sweetheart, but top 10 nastiest experiences that I've ever had. And the key word is top 10. So make sure you consider what you're really walking into when you become a waxer. Still love my job, though.
Sit in traffic with me while I tell you guys about my horror client that I experienced. If you are in the beauty industry or any industry at that, you definitely can relate or you have a similar story. My client books online and she is 18 years old. We always start with a consultation. I did a very in-depth consultation with her and I made sure my ass was covered as well as hers. Starting off the appointment, she was complaining about having to fill out the consent form. At this point, I had a feeling she was going to give me problems, but I was hoping for the best. She came in for a foreign fill, meaning that she had lashes from another salon. I told her that if I feel that our lashes could blend well and that it would look good together, then I could go in and do a foreign fill. I look at her lashes and I can already see that the work is done improperly and that her lashes are all clumped together. We go in the back and I have her lay down and I look at her lashes underneath the light. I pat her under eyes down and I look at it. I told her that I'm gonna need to do a full removal and a full set because I cannot work over whatever she had going on. She said that she had to make a call to her mom because she only brought X amount in cash. I told her that was fine and she can go and call her mom and I gave her privacy. She called her mom and apparently the mom said, okay, it's fine to charge a card that's on file. I do the full removal. I made handmade fans in my palm to show her the type of lashes and fans that I make. I told her that the way that she came in is not the way that she's going to leave because I don't lash like that. As a lash artist, it is my job to protect the integrity of your natural lash and to maintain a healthy lash. She says okay, she agrees to it, start to do a full set. An hour and 30 minutes later, I do a full volume set on her. She opens her eyes and she immediately just is staring at it and not saying one word. I always tell my clients to meet me in the front whenever they're ready to check out and I'll get them checked out. After about 10 minutes, I go in the back and I ask her if everything is okay. She says she doesn't like her lashes. So I said, okay, what don't you like about them? Of course, she tells me that she wants it more full and she wants it longer, like how she had when she walked in. Mind you, I disclose that it's not going to look like that because I don't lash like that. I never diss anybody's work. I definitely will call it out if proper application. She tells me that she's not going to pay for something she doesn't like. So I told her she needs to pay. I told her that we could remove all of the lashes or she's just going to pay for a full set. She quickly said, remove them. I told her that's fine, but we charged $39 for a removal. Mind you, this would have been her second removal. She starts to swear and tells me that she's not going to pay for anything. We were going back and forth for about 45 minutes, and then she proceeds to tell me that I wasted her time. I tried to keep my composure the best as I could, but I was starting to get irritated. Had her lay down, began the removal process for the second time. Mind you, this is a full set that I had just completed. As soon as I start to remove it, she tells me that her eyes are burning. Of course, anything after that conversation would seem personal to her. She thought that I was doing this on purpose. She sat up, she took her under eye pads off and tape, she walked out and slammed the door. I don't know why people these days feel so entitled and treat us beauty professionals like shit because we're here to beautify you. You should be nice to us. You're lucky I didn't glue your eye shut.
Client from Hell, Lash Tech Edition. Y'all, this is real life. Just funny as fuck. I'm not even mad. I'm just laughing. Okay, let's get into it. So one of my clients turned friend had recommended this girl to me. She had added me on Snapchat, and I don't know how long she had added me before she started asking about my prices and all that, but she found me on Snapchat. Okay, got to telling her my prices, all the information, exchanging whatever info we needed to talk about, I get to giving her my phone number, okay? She asks for my phone number, or she sends me her phone number, whatever the two. I get her phone number, okay? And first off, my deposit is $30, y'all. My deposit is $30, all right? And I don't take Apple Pay, all right? Remember that. My deposit is $30 and I don't take Apple Pay. Well, I text her. I'm like, hey, babe. And immediately she texts me, says, hey, and then sends me a $15 Apple Pay payment. Okay, and I immediately told her, I was like, oh no, I don't take Apple Pay, can you send it to my Cash App? Okay, and also too, it's $30. Well, I send her my Cash App and she sends nothing. Okay, and then I don't hear from her for days. All right, and I'm just I brush it off because this ain't nothing new, whatever. Well, I sent her my Cash App April 5th. April 25th, she texts me asking what time on May 19th. Okay, we're talking about her appointment, and I end up sending her the invoice so she can pay, and then setting her on my schedule and stuff. April 30th, she still hasn't paid the deposit, and so I canceled her appointment. May 8th is when she Cash Apps me the full amount for her appointment. Her appointment was $70, and she sent it at 2:01, and then at 3:46, same day, she requested the $70 back, and then canceled it. And then the next day at 8:58 in the morning, she texted me, okay, now for real, I'm serious, can I get the refund? I'll pay it later. And then that was it. She basically ended up saying just never mind. And then it came the day of her appointment, which her appointment was yesterday, the 15th at 12 o'clock. 12 o'clock gets here and she's not here. And listen, I'm not the type of person that really cares about my clients being late. I just ask them to communicate. But it's the fact that this is a new client and there's already red flags. I was like, let me text her. Let me just find out where she's at. I'm texting her and come to find out she's just now leaving her house at 12 o'clock. So she ends up getting to her appointment pretty late, okay? She wasn't too, far away, but, I tell my clients to show up at least, 5 minutes early. So, girl, you're late, okay? Well, I started lashing her, and listen, I have animals, okay? 1, 2 cats that do sometimes sit up on my clients' laps and stuff, and, they're never an issue. If my clients don't want them up on their lap, I will move my animals. I will keep them out the room. She had never made this known that they were an issue to her. Matter of fact, she was petting my one cat. So, let's keep that in mind. But the whole entire time I'm lashing her, she's moving about, a lot. And when I tell y'all, she had her phone out like this, literally recording and taking pictures of me lashing. Would have her legs, her knees up to her chest, and was kind of, rocking back and forth. And just moving just all about to the point where I could not properly lash her, and I had gone over our appointment time. It got to the point where I started working on her left eye, and I couldn't even finish it all the way through because again, we went over the appointment time. I had other shit to do the rest of the freaking day, I do end up finishing her appointment, and her lashes do look good, okay?
I had a client from hell, and I'm going to give you guys one hell of a long story time. Before I get into it, this story was inspired by Addison, who I will tag below. She did a story time on this exact same client stalking and harassing her, and she even mentions in that video that he showed her photos of us together. So I'm going to give you my part of the backstory, and I'm going to tag her below if you want to go and see her side of the story. I'm pulling out the receipts for reference, so we're going to talk about the first time I ever received direct contact from this client. So he reaches out to me asking about my Newcastle tour, like when am I going to be in Newcastle? And I'm like, babe, I'm just about to start a booking and I can't get back to you while I'm in the booking, but the dates are on my ad. And he replies back to me, he's like, sorry honey, I can't find them. And I literally send him a screenshot of the dates because they're on my ad. I had to ask about 3 times for this guy to follow the ad instructions, and I literally had to spoon feed him like a small child and send him through the dates, which were very clearly listed on the ad. Now, he's an older gentleman, so sometimes I do allow, like when they let me know that they're older, I kind of assume it's like an issue with using technology or something like that, so I try to be more patient, but I don't actually think that was what was going on here. I genuinely think this guy's intention was to get as much contact with me as he could, because you'll see further in the story that that's kind of his thing. I can see in my text that I sent him through the accommodation when I booked it, and his response to my accommodation was, it's a bit far out and I should have let him know. And I'm like, Google says it's 10 minutes outside of Newcastle City, and you're complaining that it's too far away for you when I'm driving from Brisbane to Newcastle to do this tour. Anyway, we get to the day that I actually see this guy in person, and he's physically in my hotel room. And the one thing that I will never get out of my head is the stench of this man. Now, I have only in my career twice, and actually both times were in Newcastle, had clients that the smell, the hygiene was so bad that I actually struggled to do my job. Now, I am not somebody with a sensitive nose. I am not someone who's fussy about a little bit of BO or a little bit of sweat. I am not a princess, okay? That's not the thing. This guy's dental hygiene was that bad that when he opened his mouth, it smelled like a rotting carcass. He also arrived to that booking with a ring. It was like a little hands around sort of hugging your finger ring, right? Not really my thing, sweet gesture. He gave it to me and said that he was looking forward to seeing it in all of my TikToks. So that's how I knew then and there that he had found me through social media, and he sort of was talking about how he'd been a long time fan. When he said that, I had suspicions of which account he was, because I kept getting this account commenting on literally every video that I made. Hearts, love you stuff, asking when I would be in Newcastle, and I thought, oh, there's a good chance this is this guy. Now, this is back in 2023, and I didn't actually have anywhere near the size of following that I do now way back then. Anyway, the fact that he mentioned that he was like looking forward to seeing me wearing this ring every day was quite creepy to me. There's something about that just kind of makes the like hairs on the back of my neck stand up a little bit, like you're giving me a gift so that you can get gratification by seeing me wear it every single day. And I said to him, I was like, is the ring silver? Because it didn't look like it was silver. It looked quite cheap. And I'm like, is it silver? And he's like, yeah, it's real silver. Anyway, when I did wear the ring for one day, my finger turned green. So it definitely was not real silver. Anyway, not important. After that booking, because it was only an hour, he did overstay about 15 minutes or 20 minutes if I remember correctly. And I kept trying to ush him out the door. He kept wanting to take these selfies. And I'm like, babe, the photos are like included in your booking time. Like, you know, I'm trying to like shoo this guy out. Anyway, I vowed that I would never see him again, mostly because of the hygiene. That was my massive big like red flag with me. I didn't think I could put myself through that again. And this sounds really dramatic, but it's the truth. I could smell the stench of his breath for about a week after that booking, and I kept thinking it was me, and I was like obsessively brushing and flossing my teeth because all I could smell was that stench of like rotting decay. Now we're going to get into the aftermath after that booking, and I need my phone for receipts on that. So right after he left, maybe an hour after he left, he sent me a photo of his face, and he said, lovely, like meeting you, I had a great time, which is perfectly fine. Like that's a normal sort of thing for someone to do after a booking. And I replied back and I said, glad you had a great time. It was lovely meeting you, because I'm just trying to be polite, and at this point I'm still staying in the accommodation and I don't want him reporting to anybody that I was there. And he didn't do anything super bad. He just really smelt. Then the following day, he sends me all the photos that he took with me, and I can just see in my eyes that I am incredibly uncomfortable, and I can see his mouth near me, and I can almost see me in the photo like recoiling a bit because of the stench. And like me looking at these, I know exactly what I'm doing. He obviously didn't pick that up. Then later that night, because I didn't reply to the photos, he sent me a photo of his dogs, and because the dogs were the same dogs in his profile picture, I worked out, I was positive that it was the same guy who'd been commenting on all my stuff. Again, I didn't reply because I didn't want to encourage this constant contact outside of the booking. 2 days later, sent me a text. 4 days later, sent me a text. 1 month later, actually not quite 1 month, it's like 3 weeks later, sent me a text. 2 months later, sent me a text. 1 month later, sent me a text. 1 month later, sent me a text. 2 months later, sent me a text. 1 month after that, sent me a text. So I have not replied to any of these, and they are just chit chat, like when are you coming back to Newcastle? Happy Valentine's Day. I liked this piece of content on your TikTok, hearts and kissy faces, like just constant contact. And I have made it very clear on my socials, and I feel like this applies to 90% of FS workers. We don't want to be contacted between bookings, especially not from some guy that we saw once for 1 hour. Okay, our time is money. I don't want to be talking to some bloke that I saw for 1 hour every other day. Like it's weird. Now, after all of this constant contact, I had not blocked him, but he hadn't got a response out of me. So he went over to WhatsApp and started doing the exact same thing, hoping that he would get a reply out of me. And after about 3 times of him contacting me on WhatsApp, if I remember correctly, I told him off and I said, look, I wasn't replying to you. This is not okay. And I like gave him a bit of a scolding, and he said he was going to stop. But mind you, he was in my comment section on TikTok every day saying, when am I coming back to Newcastle? It was so good seeing you, like every day in between these texts, every day. Now, when I announced my last Newcastle tour, he messaged me saying, book me in for Newcastle on the 28th. And I sent this really polite message and I said, look, unfortunately, we've had a lot of issues with you pushing my boundaries and I've had to tell you off. I am not comfortable seeing you for another booking. And it's a very polite paragraph, but it is really long. I actually did not mention his hygiene issues in that message because I didn't want to be mean to this man. I didn't want to make him feel bad, but I should have. His response back to that is, I'm so sorry, can't remember. I'm still keen, please. And I reply back and I'm like, I just told you I'm not seeing you. Why are you still pushing even more? You're doing it again. You're pushing to still see me even though I'm saying no. And he replied back, sorry. And he sent me a picture of us together again, like trying to make me feel bad. Anyway, it looks like there is about 6 or 7 messages here from me telling him I will not be seeing him and him asking again and again. And even like 2 weeks after this back and forth, he asked again if there was any availability left for Newcastle. Like he was hoping I wasn't getting enough bookings and I would be so desperate that I would need to see him. I actually did go out to Newcastle again, and if you watch the vlog, I actually was not super busy. I had a lot of cancellations, I had a lot of drama, I had a client pass away. It was a nightmare of a tour, and I still would not have seen him. I wouldn't have seen him if he paid me $5,000 for the hour. He was just not somebody that I couldn't put myself through that again. I have to be totally honest too, I did actually see this guy commenting on Addison's stuff. When she started to gain traction on TikTok, I saw him in the comments and I did genuinely debate messaging her and saying, hey, this is my experience with this guy. But at that point, all the text back and forth hadn't happened yet. Like we were only like 10 unsolicited texts into it. You know what I mean? And I thought, what am I going to do? Reach out to her and say, hey, I saw this guy and he stinks. And he gave me a ring that made my finger green. And now he's messaging me nonstop. Like most workers are going to be like, you're just trying to stop me from seeing your client. Like you just want the bag. So I just didn't say anything. I wish I had. But even if I did, I feel like what she went through was so much more extreme with this guy than what I did. But yeah, for anyone who saw her story time, I hope this gives you a little bit more to the story. No, I will never see him again. I don't want him anywhere near me. If he books me under another number to try to see me, I will literally scream. I will keep his deposit firstly because I've told him I'm not seeing him anymore, and I will like scream my lungs out in the lobby.
Hey guys, get ready with me while I give you guys a story time from my client from absolutely hell. So she wasn't technically my client, she was technically my friend. I was close with this person at one point in my life, like during like college, you know. So when I met her, she was really nice, and I have thousands of stories that I can have a whole TikTok account just talking about this girl. Like there was a lot to reveal, but today I'm just gonna focus on what she did to me with my business, you know, around that sector.
So me and this girl never had any arguments. We never really, shook eyes. You could tell she looked at me for approval for things. For example, she could say something, and if I don't approve, she doesn't like it all of a sudden. She was that type of girl. So I noticed that time ago, and I remember looking at her a bit questionable, but I didn't take anything to heart. I just thought, she's a sweet girl, and I told her my personal stuff. We both told each other personal stuff. But one trait I realized about this girl, and I didn't realize till second year of college, she would talk about everybody, everybody's mom, dad, and uncle, even her mom, dad, and uncle. So it was so crazy to the point where she was never happy for anybody. It could be for example, let's give an example. Let's say Nella Rose got pregnant. She would be like, oh, Nella Rose got pregnant, yada yada yada. How sure that she's even ready to have a baby. She would talk down on anybody. And first it started with celebrities, influencers, all that stuff. Then she progressed, eventually talking about my own friends. And that's when I, cut her down. I really said to her, no. She would literally say something like, your friend this, your friend is walking around in college looking like this, things like that. And yeah, I didn't like it one bit. So I did tell her, she was just kind of like Maria, I'm not lying. She won't listen to me, but she was very quick to be like, Maria, I'm not lying. You're just tripping type of vibe. Anyways, proceed now. We're in college, but before we got to college, right? In my A-levels, I worked hard, but I didn't work crazy hard. I'm not gonna say I worked crazy hard, but I only worked crazy hard towards the very end. So the first 2 years, I was just vibing. So I think 3 months before my exams, that's when I took everything life seriously. Basically, second year, I took everything seriously a little bit more. And I would always we did kind of the same courses, and we'll help each other. If she missed a lesson, I will help her. If I missed a lesson, whatever. But it would say things if I missed a lesson because I'm in canteen with my friends, she'd be like, oh my god, those are bad influence. They're gonna make you the reason you're failing. She would say random stuff. Anyways, fast forward to results day. I passed my results. I got really, 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 really good grades. So I remember telling her, I think she was one of the first people I called. I'm like, oh my god, girl, we both went to uni. By the way, I already got an unconditional offer. I just want to see my grades. So yeah. So I remember getting ABB, and I told Miss Girl, I got into uni. She then proceeds to say how, no congratulations, nothing. It was just a straight how. What do you mean how? Girl, what? So you can imagine the type of dynamic. After that, I remember calling my other best friend, and I'm like, ooh, she said this, yeah, da, da, da. So that already kind of put me off this person, because it's why would you say how? What do you mean how? I take it to heart. I did tell my mom about it, and my mom was just but my mom had 2 dreams about this girl in first year of college, and she told me to cut her off, and I didn't. So we're gonna proceed to now we're in uni. So now I'm in uni, I'm in lash tech, everything is going well. I remember her making comments about my lash journey though, when it distracts me from uni, blah, 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 blah. But anyways, cut this story short, I'm basically a lash tech now. Everybody comes to me, everything is good. She seemed happy for me, I would say. Guys, ignore my makeup, it's gonna look good. So she seemed happy for me at first. She never questioned me. I was very happy. I would, even when I had client nightmares, I would tell her about it and stuff. So let's say now she gets closer to God. Glory be to God. She gets closer to God, and this is when things start getting weird. So she would always mention things like, oh my god, are you sure God wants you to do this business? Blah blah blah. Anyways, let's proceed to the part. Head up. Alright, so she comes to her appointment now. When she comes to her appointment, this is her first appointment with me. I was very happy to do her lashes. She's seen where I'm lashing and stuff. She was very happy with me. But this is after that encounter of me feeling really weird about her. So yeah, she came to me 3 times, and the 3 times the same thing occurred. So when she came to me, I remember telling my other friend, you guys stay in the room, this girl can be weird sometimes, type of vibe. I know that sounds weird, but I was already getting an off vibe from her. So yeah. So anyways, the first time she came, it was fine. Then after her appointment, she went to the toilet, and this is when I lived in her comp. So everybody's toilet is in the room. She went to the toilet, and she was in the toilet for 10-15 minutes. When she comes out, there was no flush, no tap sound, nothing. There was no sounds. So now I'm kind of confused, Like, you know, but I don't take anything off it. And obviously, I don't clock when she's in the toilet. I don't think anything of it, right? And then it was my friends in the room saying, why is she still in the toilet? And I'm thinking maybe she's taking, you know. But baby, no. Like, once you come out the toilet, no sounds. Like, there was no sounds, no flushing, nothing. She wasn't even trying to make it bait. I didn't think anything of it. And then second time she comes, same thing. She's like, can I go to your toilet? She goes to my toilet. No sound, no noise, nothing, right? And I'm not saying she's in the toilet for 2 minutes fixing her lashes or checking. And bear in mind, in the toilet, before the toilet, there's a big ass mirror. So there's no reason for her to be checking the small mirror in the toilet. Cool, we proceed. The third time it happens, now I'm like, my friends are like, what? She's gonna go into the toilet. Like, it's as if like it's like they know. I don't think anything of this girl. Things happen later on, you know, like I didn't think anything weird, but it was kind of like weird. And I remember telling my mom, and my mom just said to me, like, whenever she comes into the bathroom, before she comes into the bathroom, just cover your mirror, because that's the only way spirits can talk and communicate with the other side of the world. So I don't think anything of it. Cool. I say cool. She doesn't come back again after that, to be honest, after this happened. It's a good day. It's 3 a.m. in the night. I'm sleeping. It's literally 3 a.m. I'm not joking. I'm not sugarcoating the time. It's 3 a.m. And tell me why now I sleep by myself. Guys, let me finish my makeup because it looks crazy. Let me finish my makeup and I'll come. So it was a random 3 a.m. I obviously sleep by myself and my room was quiet. Sometimes I sleep with ASMR on. This night I didn't sleep with no ASMR on. I didn't sleep with anything. It was just, yeah. So tell me why now I'm sleeping and I hear a noise, like a very sharp noise around 3 a.m. I ignore it because I think it's a dream. Like, you know when you're in the dream, thinking you're in the dream? That's what I thought. I thought I was dreaming. Then boom, I hear somebody shout my name very loud. And I used to live in Onyx. So I don't know if you know how the studios are, but the bed is kind of like hold up. So imagine you walk into a room. The bed is like, the bed frame is basically backwards from the door. So the bed frame is here. The room is basically, my bed is, if I'm sleeping here, I'm looking at the window, and behind me is the door, the kitchen, whatever, you know. So I hear somebody shout my name, not from behind me, but from the toilet. Like, it was so loud and clear. And I woke up in shock because in my head, straight away I'm thinking, hell no. So obviously, first thing I do is shout my friend's name that I always go. Her room is on the like higher floor than mine. So I assume maybe she was in my room. I just shout her name. I open my eyes. The room was black. There was nothing in the room. Empty as fuck. Like, there was nothing in the room. There was nobody in the room. Sorry, there was nobody in the room. I was like, what the fuck? So I run upstairs to my friend's room. She was awake, I think. Oh, I don't know, but I just remember that for like 2 days straight, I slept in my friend's room. I was so traumatized. And like this Nigerian culture that I grew up in, I don't know if everybody does, you can't answer names that call you, right? So I remember telling my mom the next day, I sent her voice notes on WhatsApp, and she was like, yeah, like, you know, blah, blah, blah. So I had to pray for the mirror. Till I moved out, I never looked through that mirror again. And when I brush my teeth, I'll brush my teeth with the mirror outside. It was so the mirror outside my room, it was so scary. It was just so weird. And it was so weird how, like, as soon as I heard that name, my whole body went cold. Like, my whole body went cold. I went cold. Like, it was so crazy. And nobody calls me Maria. Like, nobody in Birmingham calls me Maria. My clients don't call me Maria. So it's like, I didn't call myself Maria anymore. So it's kind of like, what? Like, everyone in Birmingham knew me as MJ. So it would be so weird for any of my friends to even call me Maria. Like, you know, it was so weird. And it was very, like, slow. But I'm telling you, it came from the bathroom. So, like, it was just so weird. But yeah, that's the story from the client from hell that brought a hell to my room or whatever. I moved out from that place. She doesn't know my new place or whatnot. She's blocked with the system. She's blocked with everything. But yeah, that's my story.
This is the only time that I've ever cried at work, and still to this day, I do not know how things escalated to the point that they did. So I was a server at Topgolf, and this day happened to be a really busy Saturday. I'm talking like there was no time to think, only time to just do. I get sat with this double bay of 12 people, and they get there, and we're honestly having a really good time. Introduce myself, they're cracking jokes, specifically the dad, he's like really chill. So they selected the hour option, and they were trying to get me to golf with them and the whole 9 yards. I asked if they wanted to order anything. They said they did, but they needed more time. I said, no problem, I'll come back in a couple minutes. I came back in a a couple minutes, they weren't ready. Then I came back again and they still weren't ready at this point. So I tell them, hey, honestly, like I'm gonna be right around you guys. I'll be right in my section. If you guys are, when you guys are ready to order, just call me over. They call me over 10 minutes later and they're ready to order drinks. One of the tables had 9 adults at it, and then the other table was 3 like teenage boys. The adult table gets a bunch of cocktails and then the kids just get their soft drinks. At the time they placed the order for the drinks, they had 45 minutes left, which at Topgolf, the 45-minute mark is our last call for food, the last time we can put food in the system. I typically didn't follow that rule, but we were slammed that day and the kitchen was short-staffed, so I knew that there was no way I was going to put in food 30 minutes before their time was up because I knew it wasn't going to come out in time. I tell them about the 45-minute last call thing. They didn't seem too concerned about it. They didn't really seem to care. And I was like, okay, like maybe they're not ordering food and they just want drinks. At the 30-minute mark, they call me over. They want another round of drinks. They don't say anything about the food, so I'm just assuming they don't want food. Then they have 15 minutes left, and at the 15-minute mark at Topgolf is when we have to close our bays out and give them the check. So I go in the bay. Mind you, this entire time we've been having a great time. We're cracking jokes. Like me and the dad are really going at it. I ask them if they want to close out. They say, no, we want to order food now. And so I remind them, hey, you guys have 15 minutes left. I told you at the 45-minute mark, you guys can't order food. They said that they wanted to extend 30 minutes, so then they were at the 45-minute mark and I was like, okay, perfect, like I'll take your food order and we'll get your food in. The adult table orders so much food. I'm pretty sure every single person ordered an individual appetizer and an individual entree, and then they got a couple of desserts to share with the table. And the kids table ordered 2 appetizers and that was it. I put the food in and I'm low-key geeked because I'm like, dang, I'm about to make hella money because I'm having really good rapport with this table, and they had a $600 tab. So I made sure to be right by that bay the entire time because I was like, no way am I gonna mess up my tip. So I was super attentive, super on top of it the entire time. Like I said, the kitchen was super backed up, so their food didn't come out until there was like 17 minutes left on the timer. The food comes out and I helped the food runner serve it to the table. So I checked in with everyone, making sure all their food came out good, everything was looking okay. Mind you, the dad was in the bathroom at the time the food was dropped off. And he was kind of the leader of the whole group, so I was like, okay, I'm gonna let them enjoy their food for a little bit, and then I'm gonna come back with 10 minutes left saying that they need to close the checkout. I'm right by their table when I see the dad coming back from the bathroom, and I don't know what happened in the bathroom. I don't know what went down in the bathroom, but the dad comes out with crazy eyes. He looks like he's ready to punch someone, ready to throw hands. I don't know what was going on because he was in such a good mood the entire time. He gets to the bay, and then I go over to him asking if everything came out okay and if it's okay if I close out the check. All of a sudden, I don't know what happened, but this man started berating me out of nowhere. Started yelling at me in front of all the adults in the adult bay, saying, my son didn't get his food. My son is over there starving, and all you can seem to care about is closing out our check. I asked if he wanted to extend the time, then that got him more mad. He was like, I don't want to extend the time. My son's starving over there because you messed up his order. Mind you, I knew that table had only ordered 2 appetizers. Also, the son was like 16. He was literally chilling over there, sipping his Diet Coke, having a good time, golfing with his friends. You're out here being like, my poor baby is starving. He is grown enough to order his own food. But this man is full on berating me in front of everyone. And all the tables are on the other tables that I was serving were looking at me. Everyone was looking at me and I didn't know what was going on. I don't know what happened. While he's berating me, his wife that's right next to me is like, you didn't bring us our honey mustard. I can't eat until you bring us our honey mustard. And then her friend that's sitting next to her was like, yeah, like I need honey mustard. The entire table is now asking for honey mustard and another round of drinks. And I was like, I literally asked you 10 minutes ago, like 5 minutes ago. I asked you 5 minutes ago if everything was okay and nobody said a thing. So why are you acting like I forgot something when you forgot to bring it up? Also, bitch, read the room. Your husband is literally currently yelling at me and all you can think about is, how haven't you had time to get my honey mustard? When would I have time to get the honey mustard? What are we talking about? So I'm holding back tears at this point because I'm so caught off guard and this grown ass man is yelling in my face. Low-key like what I'm doing right now. Let me chill. I'm profusely apologizing. I'm like, I'm so sorry. Like I'll like get the burger and everything. We can get it comped off. Like I'll have it come out like right away. But I need to close out the check because again, we were slammed and I knew as soon as their time ended, I was going to get sat with another bay. And he's yelling at me. He's like, you know what? I want to talk to your GM. Give me your GM's contact information. I need to report you for such terrible service, blah, 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 blah. Now that really got me because my GM did not like me. She hated women. I'm not going to lie. And I knew that I had never interacted with this woman, but from what I was told, she did not like girls. And I knew she was going to fire me if she found any sort of reason to. So I'm really stressed out because I'm like, what is he even going to say to her? Because I don't even know what happened. So I go to my manager asking for the GM's contact information. He can see that I'm like about to cry. Like I'm about to break down. I tell him what's going on. So he goes over to the bay and starts trying to talk to the guy. I go to the kitchen to see if I can get this kid's burger. I come back with the burger and there's like 3 or 4 managers all talking to this man, and he's just like yelling, he's going off. I bring the burger to the son and I drop it off, and the son was like, I didn't order this. I was like, I know you fucking didn't order that. I told him that his dad was literally yelling at me because of it, and he's like, no, we haven't even talked this whole time. I don't know what you're talking about. And he was low-key rude about it too. I was like, dude, this entire fiasco is happening because you like didn't get food. So I hesitantly walk up to the dad because I'm like, I want to make sure at least I'm giving it to the right person, but to also let him know that his son didn't order this. So I asked, I was like, yeah, your son's the one right over there, right? He starts yelling at me. He was like, yeah, are you like fucking stupid? Just again, yelling at me. And I was like, well, I gave it to him and he said that he didn't order this. Dad was like, what are you talking about? And then he yells over across his son. He's like, yo, did you like not order that? I thought you were gonna order food. The son was like, no, I literally told you beforehand that I didn't want to order food because I'm not hungry. And then he was like, the dad was like, oh, okay. Doesn't apologize to me, like nothing. Time has run out at this point, and the managers had to call the guest services to tell them to not seat my section. They're not even done with their food. The managers are telling them that they need to get out of the bay because this bay is about to be sat again and that they need to be closed out. So then they come over to me saying they want to close out, but they want to do an itemized split. 3 different ways, which 3 ways is like manageable. It's not that bad, but it's like all of that shit just went down, and you're telling me that you want to itemize split your bill? Yeah, no. I literally was like about to, like, the tears were about to spill over at this point. And eventually one of the ladies was like, you know what, let's just do an even split. I hand out the checks, the dad's in front of me filling it out, and he was like, this is the worst service ever. Like, this is the worst experience I've ever had. And I just am profusely apologized. I'm like, I'm so sorry that like you haven't been having a good time. And he was like, stop fucking saying that. You obviously don't fucking care. And I was like, oh my God, like, what do you want me to say? Each of their checks was $200. The dad, I thought was gonna tip me nothing, still tipped me $30. Then the other 2 people tipped me $50 each. And I was just so stressed over the whole thing that my manager was like, you know what, I'll just bust the bay. Why don't you go in the back and just take a breather? I go to the back, I start sobbing because what the fuck just happened? After a couple minutes, I collect myself. I go back out there because I still have other tables, mind you. 2 ladies from before, the wife and the friend, come up to me and they're apologizing to me. They're like, I'm so sorry. Like, I don't know what happened. And then they hand me $100 bill. So that like low-key dried up the tears real quick. But yeah, to this day, I don't know honestly like what was going through that man's mind or like what even happened, but he never reported it to the GM, and I still made $230 off that table. So low-key still a win in the end.
I had a client just leave. She told me she came in Sephora today. She saw me and she didn't say anything. I said, girl, why would you not speak? She said, because I didn't want you to think I was being weird. Bitch, I think you being weird now. You didn't know I was going to see you naked later? She said, I just didn't know if you were going to be nice in person. I said, girl, I'm just as unprofessional there as I said, you know, I think we're long overdue for an introduction. So, hi, my name is Naima. I'm retired Navy. I live in Virginia. I've got 2 children. I've been married and divorced twice. My favorite color is pink. I'm thick as fuck. I bleach my hair every week because I don't like no brown to show. I'm getting my degree in business marketing. I have a background in aesthetics and in massage. I have an aesthetics business as well as an all-nude lip line. And if you see me in person, please say hi. I'm nice.
So I want to talk about a situation that has happened this weekend, and it's been on my mind. Like, it's bothering me. I don't understand why it's still bothering me, but so I was running a $10 braid special because we are in hard times. You know, everything is so expensive, and I wanted to just give back a small portion to, you know, Black women, especially when it comes to getting braids. We know how expensive it could be. So my biggest thing was I wanted to just give you guys a break. That's really what it was. I wanted to give you guys a break. You know, a $10 braid special where it's $10 per braid, straight backs. You can get up to 8, you know, just to let people have a chance to get their hair done in peace. Like, that's really what it was. But anywho, I had a client that booked an appointment. Now, mind you guys, on my website, it says $10 per braid. Like, y'all, it literally says $10 per braid. Under, like, on, like, right when you book, it says it, okay? I've made multiple videos about it, breaking it down, like, oh, it's $10 per braid. You can get up to this amount of braids, yada, yada, yada. So I had a client that came in, and I asked her, I said, hey, on your form, it says 8 braids. Do you still want to go with 8 braids? She goes, yeah. I'm like, all right, cool.
I do the braids, no problem. It takes me about an hour to get her in and out of the chair. As the appointment is done, she's like, I gotta run to the car to get the money. She leaves her phone, fine, cool, whatever. She comes back and she hands me a 20. A 20. She's like, do you have change? So in my head thinking like, oh, maybe, she just wants to tip me. I don't know. I was just like, okay, yeah, I can see if I can find change. I didn't have change. So I went around the building asking, the other stylists, do they have change? So no one in the building had change. Like, no one had change. So I told her, I was like, unfortunately, there's no change. And I'm thinking like, okay, well, I mean, you don't have to tip me. Like that's what I was thinking, because I'm thinking like, oh, because $80, like I was just confused, like if whatever. But I was like, oh, you don't have to tip me. And she goes, well, my balance is $9. I said, huh? I said, your balance is $80. And she goes, what? I'm like, yeah, you got 8 braids, it's $80. She goes, no, I booked the $10 braid special. I said, yeah, it's $10 per braid. She goes, that's not why I booked. I booked it because it was supposed to be $10. And I was like, well, on the website and the videos that I made, it states that it was $10. And on the booking thing, it asks you like to leave your social media, because I just need to see who's walking into my salon. And she saw the video on TikTok, and on TikTok, it says $10 per braid, y'all. It says $10 per braid. My mind was blown, because I was like, wait, you thought I was finna really do a full head of braids for $10? At what point are we being realistic here? Because, yeah, so she did not have the money to pay me, y'all. She did not have the money to pay me. And now I'm becoming frustrated, because it's like, I'm confused. Like, why would you think this whole style would be $10? And I told her, I said, well, on my website and the videos that I posted, it says $10 per braid. Like, when you book it, it literally says $10 per braid. She goes, well, I didn't read that. I just booked. Well, that's not my fault. That's not my fault. It's in bold letters that it's $10 per braid. And so she did not have the money to pay me, y'all. And it became a whole thing. And it just was not okay. Like, when I tell y'all, like, police were about to be called, because when you sit down and you get a service from a stylist, from a tattoo artist, from anybody in the service industry, and you cannot pay, it is theft of service. You can be charged, because it is stealing. And for you not to have the money to pay for a service is crazy to me. And she kept saying that she needed to go to the ATM. She needs to go to the ATM. So I told her, I said, hey, well, if you need to go to the ATM, like, I can just use the card on file, or I can just take the card. I was about to take the L on the fee that they charge to swipe cards, whatever. But I was like, I could just take your card. And she was like, well, I don't have a card. And I said, well, how were you going to the ATM? Like, I'm confused. She just kept saying like, oh, I was going to use tap. And I was like, well, I can, Square has tap. I was like, well, I can tap it on my phone, because at this point, I feel like you're trying to leave without paying me, because that's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. I've done your hair. I've done the service that you got out the chair. You like, oh my God, these are so nice. I'm going to get these all summer. But you're trying to leave without paying me. That's not going to happen. So I'm trying to like I'm like, hey, my payments are only Zelle or cash. But at this point in time, like, I'll take whatever you got, because I'm ready to go home. I'm frustrated. I'm so irritated. She's like, well, I don't have a card. And I said, so how were you going to the ATM? And that's when she was like, I was going to use tap. And I was like, okay, well, I can use tap. She's like, no, that's not. I have a Dasher card, and I have $11 on it. So you were going to the ATM to get $11 off? I am so confused at this point. When I tell you guys, I was like 2 seconds from knocking all this shit over. She had to make some phone calls. It took us about 45 minutes to figure out what we're doing. Like, I finished her hair, and we literally sat there for it felt like forever for her to figure out how she was going to pay me. Yeah, she had to make some phone calls. Whatever. I end up getting paid at the end of it, because I'm like, I felt like she just didn't want to deal with the police, because I was calling the police. Like, I was calling the police. It was he was gonna call the police, and we was gonna fight. And I'm not even that type of person. But the police was gonna be called, because you not finna walk up out of here with a hairstyle and thinking you finna steal from me. That's what we not doing.